What if I told you the Sopranos series finale was not only perfect, but darker than you ever could have imagined? The Sopranos series finale wasn't exactly well received when it aired back in 2007. Don't Stop Believin' is playing in the background as the Soprano family gathers one after the other for a nice meal at a diner. There's a shady character walking around wearing a members-only jacket, and Meadow struggles to park her car. Tony Soprano hears the bell on the door ring, looks up, and then nothing. Silence. A black screen. We just didn't understand what happened. Like, was there something wrong with our TVs? Did the feed to the show accidentally get cut? It was utter confusion for 10 seconds as we stared at a black screen, and then the credits rolled, leaving fans stunned and confused. Like, was that really it? Was that how The Sopranos, one of the greatest shows in TV history, actually ended? As a matter of fact, it was, and the backlash began immediately. But here's the thing, the Sopranos series finale was actually perfect and foreshadowed all throughout the series itself. Not only that, but the creator of The Sopranos has said if you look closely, it's all there, and guess what? He's right. We had just witnessed the death of Tony Soprano, and the clues to this had been laid out for us throughout the entire series. First of all, Tony Soprano's favorite movie was The Godfather, and his favorite scene was the one where Michael Corleone performs his first hit, which just so happens to take place in a restaurant.
Because every time we watch Godfather, when Michael Corleone shoots those guys in the restaurant, you sit there with your bowl of ice cream and you say it's your favorite scene of all time.
But that's not the only reference to The Godfather in this episode. If you remember, in The Godfather, oranges were used as a sign of a bad omen. And one of the very first things Tony Soprano did when he woke up that morning was peel an orange. And then of course there's that line from Bobby earlier in the season.
You probably don't even hear it when it happens, right?
That perfectly describes what we saw happen to Tony Soprano. And of course, we have to talk about the guy wearing the members-only jacket. He is 100% the person responsible for ending Tony Soprano's life, and again, if you look closely, everything is there. Now, this was actually a reference to the first episode of the final season, which was appropriately titled Members Only.
Look at this guy. Members only? How long you been wearing that?
In the episode, Eugene is wearing a members-only jacket and just so happens to carry out some business inside a restaurant. Not only that, but this is where we actually start to see a hint of what happened in the series finale. You see, Eugene had come into some money and wanted to retire from the mob life, then move his family down to Florida. Tony refuses to let Eugene move to Florida, even though there was really no reason for him to do so outside of spite. And this unfortunately leads to Eugene opting out. Now, this is only one example of the many horrible things Tony Soprano was responsible for throughout the series. Tony Soprano was not a good person, and if there was a hell, you'd better believe he would be there after he died. And now we have to circle back to the final scene. Each time the door to the diner opens, a bell rings, and we see this happen when Tony enters the diner. But here's where things start to get interesting. Once Tony walks in, he already sees himself sitting in a booth. Now, to really understand what was actually happening here, we have to go all the way back to season 2, after Christopher went to hell, then came back and explained what he had experienced.
Paulie, it was hell, okay? And every night at midnight, they whack him the same way he was whacked in life, and it's painful, night after night.
And this is why the final shot of The Sopranos is so important. We hear the bell on the door ring, Tony Soprano looks up, and then, keep in mind we never actually saw who walked into the diner. We presumed it was Meadow, but it wasn't. It was actually Tony Soprano walking in the door just in time to see himself get whacked because Tony Soprano is in hell. Tony Soprano's hell was reliving the moment he got taken out in front of everyone he loved over and over for eternity.